Then sending the Tombo Juya, Majibi, Tama Jinji, Minji. Jadam, Sajajam, Yigi Himanda, Ambo sent Zadar Jebas, Saki Tombo, sent Zadar Jeba. Sent Zadar Jeba, Dela, then Maron Song sending the Tombo Juya and Majiba. 내도 신도도 되고라 소파이나 뭐 가연나 좀 주시면 주지 다 끼고 나랑 좀 생각 저에 맞지 봐야 살나 가만 끼게 되는 지 봐요.
Now we are still in the explanation of the so-called instruction for Mahamudra in 4 words statements. The first one is, as Mahamudra reminds us, to find out everything about this mind, to totally clarify what mind is. And in this process, here the next sentence says, since mind is not occurring by being produced through a cause in the beginning, in the end, mind will not perish by circumstances. So, this is something totally different from our ordinary life experience, where everything that appears we can relate to a cause that produced this existence. When there is a flower or a fruit hanging at the tree, we know that there was a cause before needed to make it possible that the appearance of this fruit at the tree later occurred. So everything normally we can relate and trace back to a cause, a productive cause of its existence. Totally different from mind. Here, as we looked, we cannot trace back the occurrence of mind to a cause that made it produce. So here the sentence then brings us a logical consequence, saying there is this mind, and this appearance of mind is not produced by cause in the beginning to occur. Therefore, in the end, mind will not disappear through conditions.
다만 띵지 민직들이变나와서 하나 남론총 빼나 bomba지요나 자말에서 bom바지요나 다음부터 주제 나빠라서 주대라게 bom바지 좋다. bom바라서 차니 근데 제가 토하라서 봐도 되게 장나 딱히 섹터 저 담보 줘요래. 저 요바라 되는 bom바지 두세게 되는 바라도 다마 토하라서 봐도 섹터. 나랑 좀 생기 된다고 섹터.
Now, what Rinpoche says is here we need an example for the second part of this sentence, where it says, through conditions, mind cannot be destroyed or cannot disappear. And an example of ordinary life will be, for example, a pot or a vase that is formed out of clay. And as we know, then this vase wasn't there from the very beginning, but it was produced out of this lump of mud or clay that by the skillful manipulation later took the shape of a pot or a vase. So when we have this vase here now, then this vase is actually a compound phenomenon. It's something that is compound and came into existence by a productive cause. And when this vase now is so beautifully standing there, still we can take a hammer and crush it into pieces in no time. So very easy to destroy this vase, but this is only possible because the vase in itself was a compound phenomenon. Being produced by cause, it can be destroyed by conditions. this is different with mind, or mind cannot be destroyed in that way. So to apply this example now to mind, as it is said, mind does not disappear, does not perish in the end by causes and by conditions. But we may say then what happens with the end of this life and the next lives and so on. Here, Rinpoche says the mind stream is never interrupted at any point. Mind stream goes through all those various lifetimes, no matter where we appear, no matter how we appear. We may appear in different realms, not only the human, but in the animal realm or the realm of intense suffering, the hell realm. And wherever we do appear, we are exposed to various intense types of feelings and sufferings and so on. But only thing that changes is the body appearance that this mind takes on. The stream of consciousness, of perceiving consciousness, goes through without any interruption. In that sense, mind is not destroyed by conditions. When at the end of the path, we finally reach the state of the full enlightened Buddha. It is said that the Buddha is endowed with 5 types of primordial awareness or wisdom for the benefit of all sentient beings. And here now we are plagued by the 5 mind poisons, these mental afflictions. So we may wonder what happens there along this path. Where does the wisdom come from? Where does the affliction go to? But in fact, it is only that very mind poison and affliction that transforms itself into primordial awareness. So, again, nothing happens, nothing gets lost. There's no such process that we have to get rid of the mental affliction or mind poison. We have to deport them to some other place and have to import the wisdom. That's not the case. It's just a transformation, otherwise everything stays the same. Now, looking at mind, it seems at times that something increases suddenly or decreases, or something is more complete than emptied out, all this in fact does not happen. The only thing is what is there is mind, which is in its very natural appearance clear, lucidly clear, yet at the same time empty. It's empty clarity. And this empty clarity at times we misunderstand in the way that the empty aspect of mind we misunderstand to be an I or self, and the clear, precise, lucid appearance of mind we misunderstand to be other. So this is the only thing that happens, but otherwise there is no increase and decrease of quality, and there is no filling up or emptying out. So then, to give an example for this, which says we can think of a small ocean. A small ocean is a only temporary phenomenon, the way it looks like, because in some years when it hasn't been raining very much, then this ocean seems to dry out. It's less and less volume, and in other years instead, when it rains a lot, the ocean will swell up and will be filled more. This is the reason to call it a temporary phenomenon. Mind is not a temporary phenomenon, and there's no swelling up and filling and no diminishing either. The other example here to illustrate the increase and decrease is to take the picture of the moon. So we have, when we look into space and the night, sometimes the appearance of the moon. But that moon appearance is of a temporary type. So in the phase of the waxing moon, starting from the first day of the moon cycle, we see that the image of the moon increases in size until it reaches at full moon and 15th day its full size, just and only to immediately start to diminish again. So the phase of the waning moon then gets less and less and later disappears. Clearly visible and obvious that the moon is a temporary phenomenon. Mind is not of that type, as mind is not produced initially by causes and conditions. It is not a compound phenomenon. In such a way, it is not subject to any increase or decay. It's a tongo.
Sem ke non chai. Sem ke non chai yin ba la din ne di ke zo de bi chun de tang bi sem ke chai.
Now the next sentence says, everything that appears and is possible is pervaded by mind. And what appears and is possible is actually the whole universe that we live in, is this whole outer world, the container of the outer world, the environment. And being pervaded by mind means that it is not different from mind. The appearance of outer world actually is a manifestation of our own mind. And since it is the case that all the environment of the outer world is but our own mind, that all the previous accomplished beings of the past, the Mahasiddhas of India and of Tibet, have shown the signs of mastery over this world. So they have actually at times shown that in spite of being put into a huge amount of blazing fire, they would not burn. And although the ocean is deep and big and vast, they would not be drowned into the ocean, they could walk on the surface. Or the dense rock, in the dense rock of a mountain, they could leave the imprint of their feet and hands. All this is a sign that the outer world is the manifestation of our mind. Now, then, talking about this world further, then within the container of the outer world, this universe, then we find also sentient beings of various types. And no matter where they are and who they are in the 6 realms of existence, they're all equally pervaded by mind. They might have their own minds, but this mind, particular mind of each and any sentient being, is by essence the same. So they're all pervaded by the same essence of mind. Now we may wonder in what sense we can say that consciousness, mind, pervades all sentient beings. Looking into our own mind, we will understand that easily, as we find that our own mind, by its very natural way, is lucid clarity, that is empty of substantial existence. So this union of emptiness and clarity is the very nature of our mind. And this natural way of how mind is applies to all sentient beings as well. They all have the same clear yet empty mind. And in the same way as our mind is not a temporary phenomenon that comes into existence by cause and condition, so the mind of others is also not a temporary phenomenon by cause and conditions. In that way, we are all equally pervaded by the same qualities of mind.
Anyway, upon me, Trogata, get it on me, Trogata, there. Then, Tige, Seji, don't Batana, Nitapa, Mela, Yankapa, Tana. You could do something, Sana, Maruka, Sam, number tap, Mela, Top. Then, Seji, don't sing more down. Maron song, sing more Tipa Yamala, then deep part of
Now, to put it into a practical example, if we know some people who are sick or who are hanging around in the bardo situation between this and the next life, then we know that those people are encountering different types of problems, suffering, and also fear. And we might be moved in our hearts and really want to benefit them. So we make use of a particular practice by directing our minds towards the pure wisdom deity of Chenrezig or Amitabha, and we form wishing prayers in our heart to benefit the others. How can that help? So it helps because, for one, there are those enlightened beings that we direct our mind to. They provide their basic inspiration, blessing. We, on our own side, provide a pure, heartfelt wish to benefit. And thirdly, our nature of mind is clarity and emptiness together. The mind of all those who suffer is also clarity and emptiness, inseparable. So we have something very important in common. Because of this common nature that we share equally, we're able to benefit the others by the power of our wishing prayer. And now, then, if we hear the statement that all the outer world and the within this container of universe living beings are equally penetrated, pervaded by mind, the consequence is that there is no difference in that. This pervasion of mind through all the outer and phenomena and the living beings there is impartial. You will never find a corner of universe or some sentient beings that are not pervaded by mind. It is related to all and everything. Now, talking further about this mind is not appearing as a functionable unit. It's not something that is of material function, substantial function, and therefore it does not have any characteristics that we could show. Anything else in this world which has a material, a substantial function or energy, we can actually name, we can describe the characteristics of that function. let's say we take fire. Fire is clearly hot and burning. Water is wetting and is wet by itself, and maybe for people we could say that they're able to speak and to understand the meaning of words, something like that. So that there are different possibilities that we can make use of to describe the various entities of this world that perform a function. Because they perform a material substantial function, they can be identified, can be characterized, and we can show this. But mind is not of that kind. For mind is not a substantial function. Then we cannot give any characteristics, and we cannot show it to anyone. Now, if we talk about this mind further, mind not being produced of anything, it's not a substance of any kind. It is not made of anything. It's not being made of anything, not produced by cause initially. You cannot say where it comes from. It doesn't have any particular shape, no particular color. And as we saw last, it does not even have any particular characteristics. So what? Is mind then a total vacuum? So it's just a mere absence? No. In fact, it is just because of this being not made up of anything by itself and not having its own characteristics, color, shape, and so on, that it can appear as everything. And within mind, everything can appear. Because it is empty of all those own particular private characteristics, it can let everything happen within mind. Mind can happen as everything. That means everything means all what appears as this world here and now, as the world of suffering, samsara, and all which appears as beyond suffering, nirvana, equally can appear without any problem in mind. Mind can appear as anything good or bad, because it does not have any private characteristics.
再早期你用他人来吧。
Now, when we draw the consequence of all this, then the bottom line is that saying mind exists, we cannot really say. Since we cannot put our hands on it, we cannot identify it as color and shape, we cannot say where it comes from, where it was born, we cannot give any particular characteristics of mind, and so on. So, we cannot really say it exists. If we were to say it exists, that meant that all what we experience as the mental affliction and so on had a permanent status, and we were trapped in the idea of permanent existence. But understanding that this, whatever happens there, what we experience as mental activity, actually, when we take a closer look, it's not of that type that we can identify mind to be there in a particular way. Then we see this is not truly existing. Then, on the other hand, then thinking because we did all this investigation and found out that mind was not identifiable, then there is nothing. This would be the extreme of negation of extinction. And which is not true also because all the qualities of the Buddha, all the enlightened qualities for the benefit of sentient beings arise from out of mind. So, in fact, by understanding that the appearance of all our mental affliction is not of a permanent type, and mind is not tangible, mind is not identifiable as empty in itself, we free ourselves from the fixed idea of permanence. Understanding that all the qualities, everything comes out of mind, or even the qualities of the Buddha, then we free ourselves from the wrong idea that mind was complete nothingness.
Do some ponjar making, do some the labor to Katawa, Moba, Kanga Yanaya, Sendala Ponjar.
And moreover, in the course of time, there is no change, no transition in mind. Time means the past, the present, and the future, but in the nature of mind, there is no any change happening. There is no transition taking place.
I don't know, some movie chala, Lord Dhamma, Guru man. Lord Dhamma, the men are lower than Amboni Ranchis Yomare. Then over the Dhamma, the Kalijin, around some Sandra, Yam, Watonga, Lasso Pake, then Tobatella Tene, Dipa Megeva, saw you do, Dipa Megeva. Drabati, same Java. Terra same Java, same down low to a most of the G's on Terra around Yin.
So, further on, this mind, by nature, is primordially pure, immaculate, unstained by any kind of defect. This is also expressed in different words, saying mind, the nature of mind, is pure as being free of the temporary, fleeting stains. Those stains, errors, and illusions are called temporary because they have no independent existence on their own. It's never like that in the beginning there were real stains and problems, and then later we get rid of them. It is that those errors and delusions, from the very beginning, they were without any substance. There was nothing behind. There was just an error, just a delusion, a deception, misconception, and nothing of substance. At any time, they were removable.
로그 들어와. 다 차네. 이 거기 쟁지. 마구 봐. 생긴 몸은 차라 거기 쟁지 마구 봐.
So all those temporary stains and obscurations, the layer that is covering the pure nature of mind, can be removed. That is said, and it is by the words of the Buddha, the skillful instructions of our teachers, and our own practice, when we apply those instructions, that we are able to remove this layer of ignorance and confusion. And when it is removed, when all these fleeting impurities are gone, that which is under those covers, the real pure nature of mind, then is revealed.
생긴 게 얘는 송지 연 송소. 다 된다. 생게 니는데 얘는 레컴되어 있는 송지 도발스. 요. 그 나랑 좀 상나 얘는 요. 이 요발라 때는 생진 관계 송지니 배중 로월 때문에 저 송지. 저 생진 관계 송지 기봐. 생공 대화시 인구 요발라 기봐. 옛날양 다들 로월 들어봐. 접내는 생진 좀 따뜻히 좀 한번 더 하는 거요. 계속아. 계라 때는 딱 나랑 총가 라면 다바시. 감나 송지지 요바데 딱 달에 리관달아 때는 상지지.
So, mind itself primordially is Buddha. Means that this nature of mind, this very mind that is our mind, from the very beginning, always is the full potential for obtaining the full enlightenment. It is the seed for enlightenment, is called the Buddha nature, by different names and so on. It is actually Buddha. Full-blown qualities are within. However, we don't notice the presence of this purity of mind. And as it is said in a very well-known quotation, all sentient beings are Buddhas, however, covered by their obscurity. And because of this obscuration and not knowing that we are actually Buddhas, we have temporarily all those various types of suffering here and there. And when those fleeting temporary obscurations are removed and we appear as the Buddha, this Buddha always has been right within us. It is just the same Buddha that has been there within us, only by removing the stains. Now, here and now, it can appear. Now we have completed the first step of those 4 words of instruction to Mahamudra, by having covered the thorough investigation of mind to know everything